problem in a relationship that destroys a relationship is lack of good communication. And today we're talking about emotional intelligence. I'm going to give you three keys to help you become a better communicator, which will enhance your relationships, it will enhance your marriage, it will enhance your work relationships, friendships. And it's so important, especially for men. Most often, I do counseling with couples, and wives will say, my husband just doesn't communicate. I don't know what's going on. I feel so disconnected. It doesn't always just be the men, but it is a common problem. Look, we want to help you become emotionally intelligent. I'm going to give you three keys today and exercises so that you will become a healthy communicator. You will develop emotional intelligence. So stay with us to go through all three keys. And I promise you, you execute and practice these principles, and you will become a better communicator. Let's get right into it. And emotional intelligence, how to communicate your emotions, is what we're going into. And why do you need to learn the three keys to communicate your emotions? Well, number one, it'll dramatically improve your communication in your marriage and your relationship. How would you like that to never be said about you again? We don't communicate well. Look, communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. It's how we express love. It's how we express kindness. It's how we express compassion. It's how we connect on a heart-to-heart level. It's the lifeblood of a relationship. Look, these three keys are important, secondly, because it'll help you manage your anger more effectively. Have you ever had difficulty managing your anger? Sometimes acting it out as opposed to talking it out. This will help you manage your anger. Tell me in the comments below if you have trouble managing your anger. Number three, it'll increase your ability to manage all your emotions. Yeah, it'll increase your ability to manage all emotions. We'll get to it in a second, why it's so important to manage your emotions, because as I said, our emotional life is either talked out or it's acted out. And oftentimes when it's acted out in an unhealthy way, it causes problems for me and for all those around me who I dearly love. Before we go into the three keys, let's break down, what do I mean when I say emotions? What are emotions? An emotion is motion. It's energy in motion. If you think about any emotion that you feel right now, if you feel anger, it's a rise of emotion through your body. Maybe your jaws are good clenched, your muscles are tightened, your mind will start racing. If you feel fear, that's a release of energy through your whole body. You might stiffen up a little bit. You might get into fight or flight. If you feel sadness, there's usually a heaviness of energy in your heart. All emotions is energy, and it gets moving in our body, and it causes, and there's different types of emotions. We'll get to that in a minute. Emotions are neither good nor bad. They just are, and they're energy signals to inform us about life situations. Simple example is if I'm walking towards the edge of a building and it's 20 stories up and I start feeling fear, that energy is telling me something. It's saying, look, you're getting a little too close. You need to back off. It's getting a little dangerous. And it's a signal that tells me something about a particular life situation. If I feel sadness, it's usually because I lost something that's very important to me. It's a signal that I lost something that's important and that I love. What is emotion? Emotions are connected to this is important, our conscious and subconscious thoughts. Yeah, emotions are energy that gets activated, but it's always getting activated by the way we are thinking, whether we are conscious of that or not. Look, we all have to deal with emotions. It's just part of the human condition. And that we need to learn to manage this energy that's flowing through our body. And the primary way we manage it is by learning to give it a voice. So here are the 3 keys that you need to master in order to become a good communicator, how to communicate your emotions, and what we would call emotional intelligence. Let's get into key number 1. The 3 keys to communicate your emotions. Key number 1 is become a master of emotional awareness. What do I mean? Look, we all have emotions, but we don't always know and identify them. In fact, that's when it gets acted out most. Think about, have you ever had a class in grammar school, high school, college that is about emotional intelligence? It's just not part of the curriculum. Oftentimes, especially as men, we're taught to disconnect from emotion. So we're not connected to this very important message system in our body. And so when that's the case, we may not even be aware of what we're feeling. I could be having an emotion and it could be written all over my face and all over my body and not even be aware of it. We've all had those experiences. I know my wife, Holly Kim, she would say, what are you so upset about? I'm not even aware I'm upset, but she can see it. I'm red in the eyes. My face is flushed. Like, I'm not upset. But it's not that I'm lying. It's just I'm not connected. I'm not aware of what's going on the emotional level. So we all need to become a master of awareness of what is going on. There's many different types of emotions: sadness, happiness, excitement, joy, fear, shame, embarrassment, guilt, lonely, depressed. All those are different emotions. But sometimes we have the emotions and we're not aware of them. And so when we're not aware of them, that energy starts getting activated. We often act them out and we're not able to talk them out. So the first key is to have emotional awareness. And this is how you're able to develop that if you're lacking in that in some manner. Oftentimes when people come to counseling, this is one of the assignments I give them. And I'll say, look, I want you to become a master in emotional awareness. I want you to keep a daily journal of the emotions you experience that day. Yeah, keep a daily journal. Oh, well, that's silly. No, it's not silly. It's not silly. Look, if you haven't been trained to identify your emotions, you need to take time and allow yourself to train yourself. So in the evening, you would get home. Let's see what happened today. My boss got on me about not finishing a project, and I felt embarrassed and ashamed. What else happened? I had a wonderful lunch with my friend, and I felt happiness and excitement. What else happened? My child got cut from the soccer team, and I felt sad and compassion. It's like, think about the different events that you experienced that day and connect what emotion you felt when those things happened. Look, it's simply taking time to reflect and write it out and identify. There's all over the internet. You can look up, how do I feel? And there'll be this graphic. I should put it on, but a graphic that has maybe 30, 40 different faces and the feeling that goes with that. And you can look at that graph and say, did I feel this today? Or did I feel that today? And it starts to develop emotional awareness. And as you do that, you get a lot better at making the connection. Oh, I was feeling sad. I was feeling happy. I was feeling excited. I was feeling afraid. I was feeling guilty. And so you need to spend time in creating the awareness if you don't have it. I think by nature, we naturally have it. If you see a kid, they know what they're feeling. We often are taught over time how to disconnect from this important message system in our body. And so sometimes we need to take time to reclaim that and create the awareness. Tell me what emotion that you have that's hard for you to identify or be aware of. Write that in the comments. I'd love to see. But that we all need to become masters in identifying our emotions. Key number 2, reflect on your emotional journal that you've written in the evening and discern the thoughts that created the emotion. So I felt sad, I felt upset, I felt angry, I felt whatever. I want you to reflect upon what is the thought that created that emotion. Do you know emotions just don't happen? They happen because we have a thought, either conscious or subconscious. Give you an example. If the last time I heard it thunder like that, my automobile flooded, and then 10 years later, I hear the same kind of thunder and I start getting really nervous and I want to go move my car and get my car on higher ground. So it may not even be a rainstorm, but I'm all worried. I'm all anxious about this event when I heard that thunder. But I may not be aware that what's connected to that certain type of thunder is the thunder that happened years before that led to a deluge that led to a flooding of my car. So I need to become aware of, oh, I heard that thunder. And what is the thought? It reminds me of the time when my car flooded and I'm thinking it's going to happen again. And that's why I'm having a panic attack. See, it's so important to reflect on what the thought is that's connected to the emotion, because sometimes our thoughts are not accurate to what's happening. I heard the thunder that sounded like the thunder that happened before. Right now, I think there's going to be a flood, but you look at the radar and it's not a thunderstorm. It's only a small thunderstorm and it's not going to flood. But I'm afraid and I'm having a panic attack as if that other event is going to happen now. It's an important distinction to realize, and I'm belaboring this point because it's so important, is that every emotion you have is connected to a thought. And sometimes the thought needs to be challenged. Sometimes the thought is inaccurate. If I text my wife 2 times and she doesn't answer, I could have lots of thoughts with that. One thought could be, oh, she's really busy, I'll catch up with her later. I could have another thought that says, oh, she doesn't love me anymore, she's ignoring me, and she is filing for divorce. Now, those 2 thoughts are going with the same experience of sending 2 texts and she's not answering. One of them, the first one, oh, she's really busy, I'll catch up with her later. What emotion am I going to have with that? Nothing. It's like, okay, hope she's doing well. If my thought is that she no longer loves me, she's filing for divorce and she's ignoring my text, then I'm going to be in a panic. I'm going to be scared. I'm going to feel rejected. I'm going to be a mess. The next time I talk to her, I'm going to go off on her because she didn't respond to 2 texts. What I'm saying is that you need to make the connection that your emotions are connected to your thoughts. And sometimes the thought needs to be challenged. I need to be told, listen, she's busy. She just didn't respond to your 2 texts. She still loves you. She's not rejecting you. And she's not at the divorce lawyer's office. It needs to be challenged. Know that your emotions are directly connected to your thoughts, whether your thoughts are real or whether they're a deception. They're real to you, but they might be a deception to what's going on in the world. Continuation of this number 2 is reflecting on your emotions and discern the thoughts, is that When you reflect on your emotions and journal and discern your thoughts that created the emotion, the question you want to ask yourself is my emotion about the past? Is it about the present? Or is it about both? Going back to my example, when I heard that thunder and I got terrified and I went into a panic attack, was that about the present or the past? Well, yes, they had thunder in the present, but there was no thunderstorm, there was no flood coming. So my reaction was much more connected to the past than it was to the present. Listen, in a relationship, we get triggered all the time. And sometimes we're getting triggered, not about what's happening in the present, but we're triggered about something that happened in the past that we're bringing into the present, and we're reacting to the person as if it's about them. So it's important to ask when you're doing the second part, key number 2, of reflecting on your emotional journal and you're discerning the thoughts that created that emotion. Is my emotion about the past, the present, or both? If it's about both, give to the past what belongs to the past, but give to the present which belongs to the present. If I'm feeling, out of a 1 to 10 scale, a 9 on the anger scale of being high, and what belongs in the present situation is a 3, and a 6 belongs to the past, well, I can't give all 9 to the present situation. I need to be able to separate it, give to the past the 6, but give to the present only the 3. I hope this makes sense to you. Let me know if this is making sense to you in the comments. The second thing you need to do as part of key number 2 is ask yourself, have I had a similar experience in my past to what is happening now? For example, say that you had a girlfriend in high school that broke up with you and started dating your best friend, or betrayed you in that way. And then 10 years later, you're married and you're overly concerned that your wife is going to break up with you and go off with somebody else. And she's really a very good woman who's faithful to you. Well, the fear that you're having in the present, is it about your wife now, or is it about your unresolved history of what your past girlfriend? Yes. It's the unresolved history of the past girlfriend that's being projected in this present situation. So you need to ask yourself, have you had similar experiences when you get triggered emotionally, especially if it's very strong? And is it bringing something up from the past? Those are 2 important keys. Let's get to the third important key in terms of communicating and developing emotional intelligence. Key number 3 is to practice communicating your emotions consistently. Make a commitment that I will practice communicating my emotions on a consistent basis. As I said a number of times, what is not talked out will be acted out. If you talk it out, you can get some understanding and get connection. If you act it out, it usually causes lots of problems. So how do you practice communicating your emotions consistently? My suggestion is this. Use a simple formula. When blank happened, I felt blank. When my child was cut from the soccer team, I felt sad. When you didn't return my 2 texts, I felt concerned. When my boss got on me at work because I didn't finish the project, I felt embarrassed. Just use that simple formula of when blank happened, I felt blank, and express the emotion, period. It's important to understand that there's a difference between thought and emotion. Often people People say, I feel like you're being mean. That's not an emotion, that's a thought. The thought is that I believe that you're being mean. I feel hurt when you say this. That's different. That's expressing an emotion. So know when you say things like, I feel like, you're often are not really actually communicating emotion. You're communicating a thought. So use this simple formula. When blank happen, I feel blank. It's a lot more to say about that. But these are 3 keys. I want you to practice those 3 keys in order to develop a higher level of emotional intelligence. I'm telling you, it's going to have a great impact on your relationships, your marriage, on any important relationship. Also want to invite you, if you want to delve deeper and go deeper into this and have additional exercises of learning to manage your emotions, we have a whole chapter on what is emotions, what is E-motion, energy and motion, in our book, A Roadmap to the Soul, that my wife and I, we have a link to this in the description if you're interested in. But this is a wonderful resource if you're saying, okay, I need to learn to master this. I love this introduction, but I would like to go deeper in that. This would be a really good resource for you, and would invite you to take advantage of that. I also have, my wife and I have done 2 other videos. One is how to communicate with your wife, and the other one, how to communicate with your husband. Yeah, men and women are different. I know we have a lot of gender fluidity nowadays, but look, men are different than women. And there's different styles of communicating so that you can get through. So if you're interested in going deeper and learning more about that, click on one of those videos, how to communicate with your wife or how to communicate with your husband.